Senator Taylor is just an ordinary Liberian citizen, being given a special opportunity by God's special grace to work for her people. And I think this is who I am. I'm a female advocate. I believe in the empowerment of women. I believe women in positions of trust can make a difference. We have our difficulties, but we come to the table with a whole new agenda, a little bit different from what the men see. So I believe strongly that women should be encouraged. I'm an advocate for education because I always say to people in Bond County that education is a key and that it can open any door in the whole world. If you have a good education, any door can be open to you. I also believe in women empowerment. Those are some of the basic things that I work for as a senator. I'm also a Christian leader, and I pray every day for God's grace and wisdom to continue to do the work that God has put upon my desk. I think education is a must, and it is a must for young girls. We can no longer sit back and say, well, my daughter will get married to someone, and that daughter will, be a wife. One hand can fill a basket, my father used to say. So as your husband is working hard, you must be able to do something, even if it's business or some entrepreneurship. You must be able to do so that you're able to help your husband take care of the children and provide a sound education for your children, because if a woman is educated, she wants to make sure that her children achieve much more than she does. I have 3 undergraduate degrees, one in economics, one in banking, and one in finance. I have 3 masters, one in an MBA with a specialization in finance from Cotton University. I have a degree in banking, also a master's degree in banking from the American Institute of Banking, and I have a law degree. I have 2 children, my son Charles Philip, who's 31, and my daughter Martha Ann Taylor, who's 18. She's in the States right now, going to school to be an environmental engineer. My son is almost finished with college, and he's doing political science. What I did when I became senator here was to prioritize priorities.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll get lost. And I made it my preoccupation that over the first 9 years of my tenure, I will work on empowerment initiatives, healthcare initiatives, and education. Under healthcare, you will find out as a member of the budget committee, we've raised the money in Bond County from 1.6 in 2006, 1.6 million. Today we have more than $9 million in our budgetary allocation. A portion of that goes to healthcare. We decided that there were only, I think, 20 healthcare facilities throughout the whole of Bond County. We are the 3rd largest county in the nation in terms of size and population. And so those hospitals could not provide the needs that we had. We've built many, many, many facilities over the 9 years. We now have 2 hospitals, 4 health centers, and more than 50 clinics spread throughout Bond County, with many new ones that have been built over the last 2 years that are in the process of being operationalized. We also provided funding for training of nursing staff and doctors. The nation had a problem with doctors, and it takes a long time to train them. Unfortunately, during the Ebola virus, we've lost many of our healthcare professionals that is taking a long time to train. But I think Bond County is in a good place. We need to, in fact, there are 3 hospitals: the Bong Mai Hospital in Bong Mines, the CB Dumba, and Phoebe Hospital. So instead of saying, you just have 2 or 3, I believe I will work to ensure that over the next 9 years, each district will have a health clinic, a hospital that they can take care of their needs. And so in terms of education, many schools in the counties, districts are 6th grade. You'll find that some areas only 6th grade education, which is nothing. If you want to be a police officer, you need a 12th grade degree. But if you live 8 hours from Bond County, how are you going to go to high school in Banga? We must make sure that every district also has a fully functioning high school. I'm not talking about buildings, because what we've done over the last year is put in structures. But we need laboratories, we need libraries, we need trained teachers, we need proper salaries, we need housing for teachers so that people can leave Monrovia and kind of go back, to their home counties and contribute to the people. I think in spite of all of the gains that we made, there is still a lot to be done in terms of peace and reconciliation.
Okay.
And I believe that peace and reconciliation are sustained by economic activities. If someone is able to get a job and take care of their children, automatically they forget the past. But if you're struggling and if you're still in difficulties, then you think the past is better than the future. And that's the situation our people face across the length and breadth of Liberia. You hear people saying, oh, I wish Charles Taylor were here. Because during Charles Taylor's tenure, for example, rice was $20 a bag. Today, a bag of rice, a decent bag of rice is $60. And then there has been a huge layoff of personnel from the Taylor time. You know, the Taylor people can't work, the Doe people can't work, the Judy Bryan people can't work. We've got to bring new people. What's happening to all of these people who are sitting? And I'm a little bit sorry about the issue of security because it is a special profession. What do you do with young people who have served their country as security officers that you lay off? Where do they work? A lot of them now are putting together security agencies just to get their daily bread, but it's a difficult thing. So I think the issue of peace and reconciliation has to be tied into the empowerment of our country. How do we secure jobs for people? How do we encourage the private enterprise to bloom so that people can go out, open their businesses and do what they want to do and make their money, because in the end it's money that we're talking about. There are two opinions that I have heard. One of them says, without justice, there can be no peace. That's one school of thought. I'm of the school of thought that we are a small country, not 4 million people. Everybody is interrelated. There are some things in the TRC report that already are cognizable before our courts. For murder, for example.
Yeah.
If somebody murders someone, take them to court for murder. So the citizens who feel aggrieved, murder or rape or looting or whatever those issues are that are already cognizable in our courts can be taken to the court. We don't have to go and do a war crimes or a special tribunal for people who took part in the war, because those things can be handled. I would like to see a process of reconciliation which the South African government put in place, because they realized that both people had to live together in harmony. And so they allowed a chance where people went to the process and said, yes, I did A, B, and C, and I'm sorry. And that you forgive them and let them go.
Yeah.
Those who are have been involved in the process of the war have a chance to go and do that, so that we can talk about it. Because even the Almighty God, who is so forgiving, because whenever you say sorry to him, he forgives you.
Yeah,
but you have to say sorry.
Yeah.
First thing is, you must go and tell God, hey, I blundered. I'm sorry for what I've done. So I think that process will begin the healing, because then somebody will say, yes, you're acknowledging that you killed my father. The young man who killed my father on the Phoebe compound, every time they tell me his name, I automatically erase it from my mind, because I don't want to meet him somewhere and remember that he was the cause of my father dying that cruel death. So for me, I've already forgiven and forgotten it. It's not important to me anymore, because I don't care, even if I take that person and put them in jail for 100 years, it will never bring my father back. But I have a chance to contribute because of that loss and do something to ensure that it never happens again. And I think that's what we must do. We must put the past behind us and begin to work for our country. The future of our children, the destiny of our country is not at risk. I think we need to spend more time in working, growing, learning, developing, and learning to love one another. And for me, that's the formula for reconciliation and peace. A lot has been done, and I want to say thank you to the international community for supporting our security and rule of law instruments. New courts have been built. A lot of training has been given to, young lawyers who are taking over the courts. When you visit the courts outside of Monrovia, you'll find some very young law school graduates across the country doing their best. I think they've done a lot, but a little bit more still needs to be done, because it's a process. It's not an event. But Liberians, in my opinion, we don't like to follow the rules. We like to create our own rules. And that's why the rule of law situation is not growing as fast as it could be in other counties or other countries. Because, for example, and this issue was just being discussed this morning, so I thought it would be a good example. We've passed the Code of Conduct for Public Servants. And it says there that because we want to secure the sanctity of the executive, which is a branch of government that is implementing projects, to take away the political flavor, if you are an appointed official of government, you cannot get involved in campaigning officially. You can go cast your ballot, you can pay your small dues, but you can't go say, this minister of jumping up and down is the chairman of the campaign team. The Code of Conduct says you can no longer do that. Because they want those people who are ministers of government appointed to concentrate on the work that they've been called to do. But you will see it will be a little bit difficult in this campaign because people want to go take their minister friend to come be on the campaign trail. Those things are no longer allowed. And all of us will be looking at it. But Liberians want to say, oh, and we'll look at it later. It's not important for now. It is. Because there are standards that are set. There's an issue with transparency and accountability. How do we use the funding that is given to our counties? Millions of dollars are being siphoned off because of you giving contracts to people who don't have the capacity. You mismanaging money. If we say we're buying 9 shirts, you won't buy 3 pairs of slippers. That's mismanagement. Because we have to sit and decide why we want 9 shirts. And if you want 20 slippers, we must go back to the drawing board and say, okay, maybe the 9 shirts not too alright. Let's do 20 slippers. But you can't just automatically in your mind go and go do it. There's a lot of mismanagement. People are taking contracts, they're not completing it. Only because people don't want to follow the rules. So I think the issue of the rule of law is important. The legislature has established the PAC, the Public Account Committee, that is looking at all of the audit reports and making recommendations. There is a strong recommendation coming out of the PAC from the first set of reports that were done. People who mismanage monies have to pay back or be prosecuted. So eventually we'll be forced to do the rule of law. But the rule of law issue is based on all of us as Liberians. Can we determine that we'll do the right thing? Or do we want to keep playing? And if we keep doing it, our country will never develop. And all of us will be insecure because it is only the law that determines the boundaries between you and someone else. People must think outside the box. I met a young group of women on the weekend. Those women who have been privileged to get the village savings and loan scheme out of the central bank. And I want to say thank you to the governor of central bank for thinking about how he could empower the lives of ordinary people. This was a brilliant program. It continues today, but it's small scale. People collecting small $50, buying labor shares. I told them this weekend that I hope they would take it to the next level. What is the next level? When you get involved in economic activity that is long-term and that has the potential of hiring people, then you're talking about sustained development. But if you're just doing, small packing money here and there, giving 1,000 to people to loan, 5,000, 10,000, it's still small scale. But if some of those groups will pull their money together, and I told them maybe we can do three groups. The lower born women can pour their money together, the upper born women, and then Banga, because Banga has many of pull their money together and do something. Build a factory, plant a farm, something that will provide long-term sustained development and economic activity for which they would benefit. I just want to encourage the people of Liberia during this Ebola season, and I think it's a good note to close on. Yeah. Ebola is still not out of our country. There are many places where the Ebola is now resurfacing because people have stopped listening and doing the things that they should. It's the same rule of law thing we're talking. Nobody wants to follow the rules. But I want to say that Ebola is not complete out of Liberia. Even though we don't have a state of emergency, I believe we must go back to continuing to do what we need to do. Make sure businesses close early so people can go home. Make sure there is not an environment where people are interacting in such a way as to continue to spread the disease. And as we go into the elections, I wish us a peaceful elections. And I'm hoping that by Christmas, this process will be over so we can look forward to a brand new year that we can begin to continue to work for.